Vinayak, what about the core infrastructure space? You spoke about BHEL. What's really surprised market over the last 3 months is L&T and the kind of numbers that they came out with. What do you think is happening in the core infrastructure space?
Look, in the core infrastructure space, it is not that orders have dried up completely. So if you remember, L&T is a very well diversified company. So L&T's overall figures are a mix of various issues, which is capital goods, regular engineering projects, and domestic and international. So it is well diversified enough to be able to take shocks that may hit one sector or the other. I think L&T is better off than many other capital goods companies. But then everybody is expecting a revival. So far as core sector is concerned, we've just finished the discussions on power. The road sector, I must say that the momentum that one had expected to pick up before or around Diwali has still not happened, because we were expecting NHAI to actually issue around this time close to about 4,000 kilometers of projects, half on BOT and half on EPC, and a few on annuity. But these projects are still to come out. And while inside information is that they're almost ready and off the shelf, ready to hit the bidding stage, but we have still not seen it. And if that happens, which I am expecting to happen in the next 1 or 2 months, you may actually see over and above power, the road sector once again also powering the mood uptick.
Okay.
Other than that, there are fairly largish construction projects that are coming out from the dedicated freight corridor west, and the beginnings of it from the dedicated freight corridor east. There are railway projects, there are urban metro projects. So across the, it is not that the the sector has dried up completely. What we are witnessing, really, if I were to sum it up, is a public expenditure-driven, construction-led revival. That really sums up the mood in the infra sector. Right?
Okay, that's my second question actually to you, Vinayak. Where do you see private capex at this point? Do you see an uptick coming into private capex as well?
It is a mixed bag there. Private sector right now is extremely shy of PPP projects. I am not counting the ultra mega as PPP right now, because it is in a sense guaranteed fuel with price pass through and guaranteed offtake. So you only have to bid on the offtake. But projects which are pure PPP, where you have to take risks on traffic, like on airports or like in roads or even ports, private sector is extremely shy right now, because I think in the last 3-4 years there have been a spate of issues that have hit private sector very hard, and your viewers know most of them. Whether it is about contracts that need to be renegotiated, or the attitude of the government in extending a helping hand to the private sector, or the huge pile-up of debt because projects have been delayed because of sovereign reasons. And remember, the important reason is, while there's a lot of promoter bashing and private sector bashing that is happening, the fact that the government has created the Cabinet Committee on Investments is a completely open admission of the fact that the bulk of the slowdowns is because of sovereign delays. This is the first time such an event has happened in independent India, that you have got a figure announced of 16.5 lakh crores, that is 330 projects worth 16.5 lakh crores stuck because of sovereign clearances. Because if they were not stuck for sovereign clearances, they wouldn't have been listed on the CCI. So when the government of the nation admits that this volume of projects is stuck because of policy logjams and sovereign delays, and that is impacting the balance sheets and the debts of private sector companies, it is an unprecedented situation. And in this situation, one can hardly expect private sector to be gung-ho about bidding for fresh PPP projects. That's the reality on the ground. So unless all of these are taken care of, a new definition, for example, the private sector is asking the RBI right now to create a new bucket called sovereign stressed assets. And I think it's an important point, because if the government of India recognizes that it needs a separate institution called the CCI to handle 16.5 lakh crores, and who knows, the figure may be higher than 20 lakhs also, because they are coming in now. When you have sovereign stressed bucket of 16 to 20 lakh crores because of governmental issues, surely it is time for the RBI to create a separate bucket called the sovereign stressed assets bucket, which is neither the fault of the promoters nor the fault of the banks and the lenders. It's the fault of the state and central governments. RBI needs to create a separate bucket for sovereign stressed assets and not use the industrial era definitions of NPAs, which were largely created to identify errant promoters or market, business or technology failures. These definitions do not apply to sovereign stressed buckets. So, sorry I've given a long answer to your short question, but in this current mood where much of the stress in the private sector is because of sovereign delays, much of the liquidity of private contracting companies and PPP, BOT companies are stuck because of payments, stuck with governmental entities like NHAI, NHPC and others. You hardly expect the private sector, as I said, to be jumping in joy about a fresh burst of PPP projects.
All right, Vinayak, your point is taken. Thank you very much for joining in. So that's the word coming in from Feedback Infra that no, maybe private capex is being held up by delays coming in from the government, but maybe we could see some amount of pickup from public capex in the second half of the fiscal. For the market.